Salutations, and welcome to Logan's book review. I've decided to start this as a way to, review books, seeing as reading is a passion of mine, and I felt like I would share my knowledge and ideas with you on the internet, seeing as nobody else cares about them. But perhaps someone watching will. So, today I'm going to be reviewing I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. The story follows Ed Kennedy, an underage cab driver who's the epitome of incompetence and stupidity. Well, I say that, but that's really Roman. He ends up stopping a bank robbery, and then an ace playing card arrives in the mail. The ace and subsequent aces throughout the book lead him to different people who he helps, sometimes through hurting them. He doesn't know who's behind his missions, only that he's been chosen. To begin with, this book, in the very beginning, there is a lot of info dumping. He gives a whole backstory in the first 2 chapters that's basically just explaining his entire life story. Which, for this book, it works fine, I suppose. We're not exactly finding out about his past through the story, and his past is important to the rest of the story. So it's good to know. I just myself am not a big fan of info dumping. The author also appears to be trying very hard to make us feel bad for this kid. But I don't like him. He continuously says how incompetent he is and how he's terrible at everything and how he's super lazy, and he reads a lot, but he doesn't actually apply himself because he's too lazy to. And so he's never going to get out of his dump of a home. And honestly, while that may be relatable for some, it does not make me like him. It does not make me relate to him. I am someone who works hard, and if someone is not applying themselves, obviously it depends on the situation. Sometimes there is no possibility of help or escape, even if you are applying yourself. But in his case, despite coming from a sort of bad neighborhood, all his other siblings have managed to get out. Therefore, we know he had the tools and the ability to. So, I really don't care. He also constantly says how he's in love with Audrey and he's terrible at sex and he wants to have sex with her. You being bad at sex also does not make me feel bad for you. Guys don't have to be good at sex. That's kind of a stereotype we have here. He lives in a shack and he's never tried to get out and he doesn't exactly seem to be happy with his life. But also he doesn't really put any effort to change, which I suppose is how it goes through the rest of the book, is him being taught that he has to change. But he never really does. You know, he has to change himself by the end, but he never does. He's like, by the end he realizes, yes, I need to figure myself out. But he doesn't. He's like, I'll share this book so that other people can get help. Okay. It's a good message. If he can become really great and do all these great things for people, then anyone can, since he's such an ordinary guy. You know, I know people who can relate to that, and that is a good message and a good thing to get out of the book, so I do enjoy that. So the main plot of the book, him going to the different people's houses and these different families and different individuals and helping them with their lives, that's good. It works out well. It's a good, engaging plot. I read it in a couple hours and it kept me interested. Each person was interesting. Now, I wouldn't say this book completely objectifies women, however, it's like a little on the line, seeing as he gives Audrey a personality, but his whole thing is that he loves her, and she loves him back. However, she only wants to be with guys who she doesn't love because she doesn't want to get hurt, and so she won't be with him. And then there's this one girl he helps. She's like 15, and he's constantly talking about her legs. She's a runner. And he's like, she has beautiful legs, and he says how gorgeous she is. And while the age difference isn't really that much, she's 15 and he's 19, it's a 4-year difference, and when you're an adult, that means basically nothing. When you are at the teenager years, it's a little weird, it's slightly off. I'm not a big fan. Just a tiny bit creepy. You know, if you see a 15-year-old and 19-year-old in a relationship, you're like, is that really good? Are you guys... Is one of you being manipulated here? They don't ever start a relationship, but, you know. It's just kind of eh. Throughout the whole book, there's these moments where he just knows things. Especially near the end when he has to help one of his friends and one of the people he actually knows. Two of the hitman that he's met for come up and they're like, you know this guy, you know what to do. The book does not do a very good job explaining why he knows or how he knows. Just like he knows, it's a gut feeling of what he has to do, which happens a lot in books, but sometimes they're better explained. For this, it's just sort of a, I don't know, and now I know. And occasionally throughout the book there is a trigger for it, and you do actually understand a bit more, but the main big one at the end. Yeah. Then the end of the book, it's a little weird. So at the end of the book we figure out, spoiler alert, who has been sending all these aces and jokers and making him do all these things, and it's just some random guy. It's just a guy. We don't know who the guy is, but for some reason, okay, so here's that one. To the best of my ability to explain. There's this guy who somehow knew about Ed when his father was alive, and then his father died, and then he's been following Ed and knowing about his life, so that's kind of creepy. And then he sets up this whole bank robbery that's kind of with a terrible burglar. The burglar goes away for 6 months. Anyway, he scares them, but he sets up this whole bank robbery so that he can save the people at the bank and stop the bank robbery. Which, how he knew he would do that, even if it was super easy, I don't know. Why? And then he sets up all these aces to lead him on this quest to help people. He follows Ed and makes him into like a sort of hitman, but sort of help man. And just through the 4 aces, and then to help himself, which he never really does, like I said, as with the Joker. And then he just goes up to him and he's like, hey, I did all of this so that I could prove that anyone can be great. And if you normal, terrible, screw-up guy can go on and help people and do great things, then maybe I can also be great and do good things, and anyone can. And that's a good message. But why go through all that effort? That's a little creepy, for one. You're lucky he didn't call the police on you afterwards. It's a lot of effort. You gotta hire a lot of people. Just some random guy. I don't understand. And then Ed doesn't get anything out of it. He writes this book to help us. So yeah, good message, but I don't know who I wanted it to be. Honestly, I would have preferred if we never learned who it was. And Ed came to that conclusion on, if I can do this, anyone can be great. If he came to that conclusion on his own, I would have preferred that. Instead of this random dude who I don't care about. Oh, and then in the end, he ends up with Audrey. So that's how the book actually ends, because we all really cared about that romance. Also, with this book, the messenger part really isn't explained. It sort of is. See, it's the messenger because he's going to all these people and he's being the messenger for their life. He's giving them the message of hope, I guess. A good life. Not really sure what the message is. That's the part that's not really explained. He just becomes the messenger? I don't know. Well, that's a short little review of this book. It is a good book, so if you want to go read it, it won a Michael Prince Award for Excellence in Young Adult Literature. So, feel free to go read it. It's decent. I enjoyed it, despite all that I've said. If you would like to see me do this again, comment below, give this video a like, or just like it. If you have a book that you want me to review, then comment what you want me to review, and I will do my best to read it and review it. Feel free to check out another video on this channel by clicking here, and subscribe by clicking here if you are interested in more random content and more book reviews from me. Now, see, I'm using someone else's channel because I didn't feel like setting up my own for these little videos, and I was told to say this. So whatever you do, don't die. Although I don't really see I mean, sometimes that's controlled, but generally, that's not something you're really in control of, you know?